Planetary Enforcement Director Hatley Desert call me how I hate my name, was quite irritated. Currently he was riding a space elevator down to Tal V to see a certain spaceport security director. To add to his irritations, there were two beings of great interest that were quite untouchable in the legal sense. Goik, the wealthy purveyor of exotic off-world wares, luxury goods, and other high-end consumables, owned a relatively small but very capable shipping company. The shrewd man had been one of the first to trade with humans, even before the GTC could truly enact laws governing trade with a new species. Georg had managed to bribe, bully, lobby, and simply outlawyer the GTC and Warutteri Commerce Guild so that his trade with the humans remained mostly intact, conceding on certain points of already banned substances and hefty taxes and regulation. Such a thing only served to enrich him, as he was one of 3 such people in the system able to directly trade with the humans. His company catered to Warutteri and the Ring, while another stayed to the other, much less developed 2 inner planets, and the last kept to the moons of the 3 gas giants. New competitors and Warutteri usually had unexplainable tragic accidents. Hal could not wait until Goik was behind bars. So far, the only charge that had potential to stick was tax evasion and money laundering, minor offences carrying fines. Georg knew the laws quite well, and their exceptions even better. His brute of Endymion bodyguard, Grindel, was an ex-Galactic Alliance military mudgrunt. He had good service records which Hal grudgingly respected. As such, the small arm and shield sticks he had were within regulations for his profession as a bodyguard, most likely at the maximum allowed. He caught some of Goik's eyes, and the man grinned, knowing he was untouchable, at least for the moment, in their dangerous game of hunt and seek. With word from Goik, his bodyguard stopped his brutish display of sexual attraction to an older Endymion woman with a prosthetic arm. Interesting. He would have to send someone to follow that woman. Hopefully she could become a lead into the new human woman and Goik at the same time. Continuing to watch the beings in the elevator, he saw 2 beaten-up Tuxies having a grand old time recounting their latest brawl at some bar or another on the Ring. His military-grade translator easily letting him know what the 2 were saying. Tuning the 2 brawlers out, he saw that there was nothing else of interest, and that most of his eyes lingered on Goik. Arriving at the bottom sometime later, he watched Goik and his bodyguard bypass spaceport security due to his economic status and go to a waiting hovercar. As an enforcement officer in uniform, he too bypassed spaceport security and made his way to the director's office. Jeffery Needham, head of Tal V spaceport security and the surrounding areas, just the midpots I wanted to see, Hal said, walking into the office and closing the door. Locking it, he placed a device in it, and with a small burst of fading static and an underlying persistent hum, Hal continued. Now that no one can hear us, you have a lot of explaining to do. Did you even stop to think about anything? Ushar was stunned. He expected enforcement to get involved, but not this soon, nor so personally. To send a director to his office planetside? Well, you see... Got it, Ushar, Hal replied. This is a serious breach in protocol. There's a heavily modified human on this planet who's now consorting with a farmer, heavily in debt to a syndicate. Not just any farmer, but one that knows how to grow superior quality properly, and she's done work on Warutteri, a known syndicate member. This wouldn't be such a big deal if she had not have tried to buy out a local moving company with an offer too good to be true. This one human has changed Tal V's criminal underground in ways we can't foresee, and your failure to report such a modified human with heavy military ties belies gross incompetence or bribery. You have no idea how badly you've bungled up a very long-term and exceedingly quiet investigation. If you weren't so close to retirement, I'd have you fired. As it is, you won't be able to renew your position, and if you fully cooperate from here on out, you may just be able to keep some of your pension. How do you know she has military ties? Ushar asked, surprised at this bit of news. She upgraded her data allowance package, and then sent out 22 out-system vidmails to human controlled space and outlying territories, 4 of which were sent to an elite human military medic, 1 to a combat engineer, and another to a sniper, all which are in Dantrist 4. Hal let his words sink in before speaking again, leaned a bit closer to the flustered form of Ushar. Now, tell me everything. Selena Thomas, Prosthetist, was looking at the readouts of her newest legitimate client. The midpot's female, Jessica, had messaged ahead of her walk-in appointment, giving time to prepare, clean and get dressed in the last of her casual clothes, a black short skirt and a tie-dyed shirt with a peace sign on it. The young woman was sitting a little uncomfortably, in the only chair Selina had, with a towel over her lower half to preserve her modesty, due to the fact that her diagnostic and charging ports were located as close to her personal regions as possible. It was a horrendously chauvinistic design. HFY had explained that she had been in an industrial accident on the ring. An operator had been intoxicated and messed up, resulting in her being partially crushed under a shipping container. Her left leg and a quarter of what passes her pelvis, as well as nearby internal organs, had been utterly ruined. Initial reconstruction with donor tissues and prosthetics preserved her ability to have an unrestricted diet, bear live children, and have a proper leg with simskin. The company she worked at paying for it all, as it was an undeniable claim, due to so many witnesses. "You've been putting off maintenance for a long time, haven't you?" Selina asked with a bit of sorrow. "I have. Almost a whole 2 months. I've been saving to get it repaired," came the reply. "You poor thing. I know prosthetic work out here is expensive. I can do a full rebuild with your design, but that would mean you'd be partially dismantled for an extended period of time, as I need full access to your interface and most likely stuck here for a few days at least. I could do a full replacement, but that would take a lot of time. Perhaps 2 weeks, maybe even 3. However, with a full replacement, you wouldn't have to deal with an access or charging port so close to, there. It's going to be expensive either way, isn't it?" "Well, yes. You've neglected your upkeep for a very long time. I don't think you've even cleaned your leg properly, not even once." "I don't know how." "What? You weren't even taught how to care for yourself?" "My job said they take care of basic maintenance. Then, after a solar rotation, they stopped covering anything. I really tried to learn, but my prosthetic is so complicated, I could never properly clean it, let alone do any kind of maintenance on it." That's just... I have no words," Selina sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose, feeling a headache coming on from frustration and anger. Okay. What I want to do is expensive. Very expensive, even with my rates. However, I also can't stand terrible business practices. What I propose is that I totally build you a whole new prosthetic, with a different location of your choosing for the diagnostic and charging ports, indefinite cleaning and maintenance, as well as a full rebuild and optimization of your current prosthetic to act as a spare. HFY looked hopeful. "Ow! That's so much! How much will all that be? I can't afford all of that all at once." "I don't expect many to have that much credit all at once. I'll have you do a somewhat steep down payment, and then the rest will be paid in, I think, 200 equal payments, each due every 30 planetary rotations, with a modest fee added to the overall total as a financing agreement. Let me run some numbers, okay? Let's see what works best for you." At the end of the financial meeting, HFY paid an 8,500 credit down payment, nearly all of her savings, though far cheaper than anyone else would charge for the same work and services. The remainder was to be paid across 72 equal installments. She would have a brand new leg in 2 weeks, complete with simskin, with all the testing and adjustments to make sure everything worked. Then, her current prosthetic would be tuned and optimized to act as a spare, to be completed after she was done with Blast's spare prosthetic. With many thanks, HFY left, feeling much more optimistic about her future. Selina was unable to print anything for the moment, and instead ordered rare and expensive materials to construct the very high-end prosthetic. She had ordered extra to make sure she had enough for misprinting errors. HFY's prosthetic and interface were just as advanced as her own, and require certain uncommon and expensive components, some of which simply could not be printed, but had to be made for a delicate manufacturing process. Once everything was confirmed to be shipped, leaving her hardly monetarily ahead, she went to meet with Gibbs again for the second time. Making sure she had everything, she left to go meet the vegetable monger via taxi. Nearly an hour later, she arrived at his stand. "1 quinny bar, please," she said to the vendor. "Any work to be done today?" she asked. "Yeah, he's out back in the truck. You know what to do." "Okay," she said, paying for the 1 plant, and moved to the bed of the truck behind the stall. "Let's see what you're working with," she said to the Nemean once she saw him, handing him cable so she could access his upper right arm. "I'll need your passways to get through your Guardian software. I mean, I can crack it, but that'll take time." "Well, you see," the Nemean then said, "I like big butts, and I cannot lie 1, 2, 3, 5. No capitals or spaces is all together." "Interesting passphrase," Selina said as she typed it out. "Let's see here," she said. "Well, this is impressive. On the very grave side, but not illegal. And I'm almost uncomfortable fixing you. Anyways, it's the personal shield emitter, isn't it? Lags and gives a weird feedback, right?" "Yeah, sometimes I have to force it to deploy." "Thought so," she said. "I can't fix it. You fry some components by holding your shield up too long, or it taking more damage than it could defend against. I don't want to know what you did, so don't tell me. Fact is, that whole system needs to be removed and replaced. There's nothing more for me to do. I can't even modulate your software to compensate. The damage is too extensive. You should be happy that you still have use of your fingers after whatever. Photo, was the only response from the man. Well spoken, Selena said, gathering up her things and the bag of Kwani. Having held her end of the deal. I can do the work, but I'll need the parts first. Leaving, she turned to Gibbs. His arm is busted. He needs a repair that I can't do here. With what he needs, well, it's expensive. Get me the parts and I'll fix it. Anyways, if you need me, you know how to contact me. As Selena sat in the taxi, she thought about what she saw in the readouts of the farmhand and the information her analysis displayed. With a prosthetic like that, and the damage the shieldiment had taken, he was no mere farmhand. She had suspected something going on when she affixed Q, but had dismissed it without thinking about it too deeply. Now she knew something was up. Who do these people really work for? She asked, as she entered her home.